Well,
Um,
I had, like I said, we talked about Ready Player One, and I had issues that he should not have made that movie.
well, I have issues with it too because that's too in his wheelhouse. It's too close to
And
it.
it was too much about him, so he took all that
Yes,
out and said
yeah.
he should not have made that movie.
No, someone else should have. Yeah, someone else should have made that film. And
I almost, again, I think we talked about it, I think Abrams might have actually been able to stick that movie. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Visually Stunning Movie Podcast. I am Mark. That is Ryan. Hi, Ryan.
hello.
The other night we got to watch Steven Spielberg's new movie, Disclosure Day. Much hullabaloo going in about what this movie was and was not going to be, or mostly about what it was going to be. This is the movie that was going to blow the alien conspiracy wide open. I mean, those were the headlines I saw. But those could have just been,
I'm going to admit I have not paid any attention to any noise surrounding this film.
Yeah, but it is what it is. So it's a movie about aliens. He goes back to science fiction. He gave us Close Encounters, classic. E.T., classic. War of the Worlds, from what I understand, pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's still a Spielbergian take on the War of the Worlds story, so it's not the classic one that I watched way back in the day. So, Disclosure Day is literally about what happens when someone has proof that we are not alone, and is working with a small group of people to show that proof to the world all at once that we are not alone. Where the knowledge comes from, who's willing to keep it hidden, and what would happen if that information gets out. First off, I am reminded of a quote from Men in Black when Tommy Lee Jones is asked by Will Smith, why don't we just tell everyone people are smart? And Tommy Lee Jones correctly answers, no, a person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, which is the overriding concern that keeps getting voiced in this film.
Yes.
About telling people, whether it's societal breakdown, religious loss of faith. So that all goes to hell in a handbasket.
Well,
and all of this is being played out.
Yes.
As World War III is ramping up in
there we go.
Korea.
Yeah.
So, we're one stupid mistranslation away from war in Asia. I think it's interesting that he chose Korea. With China, voicing in or, nosing in because they support the North, and Russia's involved, and of course America's involved.
Yeah.
But it's Korea. It's a safe yet still accurate choice.
Yeah. I would say it's probably the safest choice.
Yeah.
Now it may be. I mean, if this film was being made now, maybe you could say it's a Middle East thing. But I think generally speaking, Korea is the.
Well, I don't think he wanted to go Middle East, Russia, Europe.
Yeah.
Whereas Korea has been static basically for 70 years at this point. So, little flare-ups, but nothing major. Look, Spielberg is here. He and David Koepp wrote the script. I had seen something months ago where basically Steven, the way I recall it, is that effectively what he told David was, this has to be your best script ever. So we'll discuss whether that is in fact the case. But the film stars Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Colin Firth, our favorite Coleman Domingo, Eve Hewson, Wyatt Russell shows up. What did you want? What did you expect going in?
I haven't paid much attention, so I knew what I knew kind of what the film was about. Obviously the title says pretty much all you really need to know, actually. So I just wanted a solid sci-fi film, I guess. It's Spielberg, so you kind of it has certain things that you expect from it.
Right.
A sort
Well, and
of
there's a certain floor of quality that you
yes.
expect.
Well, and so I was not expecting Close Encounters.
Oh,
Um, I also wasn't expecting ET.
no.
I mean, I guess having seen bits and pieces of trailers and things, I kind of knew what it was going to look like
Right.
stylistically. So the question really was, okay, so what's and maybe this is what the story is for going in for everyone was, what is the quality of the story? Because we know that Spielberg is perfectly capable of directing.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah,
so
maybe one day I'll win an award for it.
yeah, so the only question really is okay, is this story going to be as smart as it needs to be, or is it going to be one of those late career films that kind of fizzles out, if that makes sense, because we do see great um, directors and authors and whatnot. Sometimes late in their careers, they've lost a little bit of whatever it was that made them them. Um, so I think that's kind of what I went into looking for is where does this fall in the Spielberg spectrum?
Mhm.
I mean, I think we all know that there is going to be. Uh, I don't think Oddly enough, and I know you haven't watched it, but AI was critiqued when it came out as being too optimistic, and I happen to think that it's probably the darkest ending that any film could possibly have because it's such a sad ending.
I
And
know. I'll watch it. I've got it. It's right
yeah,
over there in the boxes of movies that I
it's
have.
just it's just interesting because a lot of people were like, well, Steven Spielberg is going to make this have a happy ending, and then they accused it of having a happy ending, and I firmly disagree with the fact that that had a happy ending.
Right.
And we can go into that some other time if you like.
Sure.
But so I guess there is this sense of, okay, so there is going to be a more positive than negative ending to this,
Sure.
which to a certain extent does undercut a little bit of the tension in the sense that because it is Spielberg and because he seems to have faith in humanity, or at least faith in uplifting stories, if not
Sure.
humanity in the real world, that the film was going to be a more positive experience than the negative, which would be society loses its minds
Right.
or and actually I don't know that we completely get an answer.
No, we don't. We don't. I
So
mean, I don't want to spoil too much, but the ending is it's a cut to black ending.
yes.
Um, and that at that cut, it is not resolved what the world, how the world is reacting. We know. I mean, everyone is paying attention.
Yes.
That is the moment. That is the status of the world. Now, which way will the world go?
Yeah, and again, I don't know that it's important to know at this point or ever know. Um, and I think that but I think there's a positivity towards the end of the film, at least as far as the central characters resolution. Let's
Right.
put it that way. There is the characters that need some sort of resolution seem to get it, and so I think the audience does as well to a certain extent.
Sure. So let's talk about these characters, or at least the actors who give them to us.
Yes.
Again, Emily Blunt plays Margaret Fairchild, the weather woman, meteorologist type lady in Kansas City that you've seen if you've seen the trailers. Josh
Yeah.
O'Connor is an IT guy who works for a mega corporation and steals their secrets. Colin Firth is the CEO of said organization.
Yeah.
Coleman Domingo used to work there.
It's gone
And Eve
rogue. Yes.
has gone rogue. Eve Hewson is Josh O'Connor's girlfriend and gets sucked into this. Wyatt Russell plays Emily, Margaret Fairchild's boyfriend, who
Yeah.
has his own issues and is kind of underutilized.
Well, I mean, but I think, yeah, well, so I think we have so many characters that at a
Yeah.
certain point, some of them have to drop out.
Yeah.
And some of them make more sense to drop out than others, and some of them drop out and come back.
Yeah.
Um, I'll be honest. I think the first act of this film, and this is not necessarily a criticism as much as it's just an observation, is that the first act is somewhat chaotic and somewhat. Uh, I don't know if unfocused is the right word, but there is a lot going on.
Okay. So can we talk about that for a second? Because
Yeah,
I don't want to forget this. Look, the first thing I wrote on my paper, the opening of this film, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but in my heart of heart, I laughed because it's the exact same opening as Highlander.
Okay, sure.
And so I had to laugh. So yes, there's an information exchange that is happening, but it's happening at a wrestling match, which I just found hilarious. It could have been anything, but it's at a cheesy wrestling match.
Yes.
But yeah, you're right. Some of these characters, there are a lot. The one we didn't even mention, and besides all the bit players, the other one that really matters is Sister Mora.
Sure.
Great character, very limited screen time, but because she's there as kind of the religious touchstone.
Yeah.
So every time that question needs to be asked, she becomes our voice of authority in that arena, which is nice. So she doesn't have to be there a lot.
And it's interesting because she's in the major scope of things that somewhat insignificant.
Yeah.
It's not like she is someone with particular standing that everyone would recognize. I mean, obviously in the the tiny element, in the particular building or whatever, the convent, she is someone.
Yes.
But outside of the convent, it's unlikely that she would be recognized as being important at all.
Correct.
So it's interesting that the religious sort of, and there is a lot of religion in this.
Because that's one of the implications.
So there's yes. And I happen to appreciate that element, because it is, like you said, it is kind of one of the many things that. So if this happens, then what? Then is suddenly religion obsolete, or more important than ever, or it's a valid question because religion plays a major role in a lot of people's lives.
Yes.
For me, that first, once it kind of locks in and has as a direction, which is somewhere in that second act, and you start losing the loose ends and the stripping away the stuff that isn't nearly as important.
Yeah.
I think the film really starts to come into focus, and then I think that final act is the Steven Spielberg film that you expect it to be.
Yes.
I don't think it starts out as the Steven Spielberg film you expect it to be. And part of it is they do have a lot of kind of talky-talk to get through.
Yes, they do have. You have to talky-talk parts of this.
So, I don't know that I'm comfortable saying that this is a masterpiece, and I don't know that I ever will be. But I am comfortable in saying that I think that ultimately it gets to where you expect it to, and it gives you what you're probably hoping for from a Spielberg film.
Yeah, we talk about some directors. I talk about Taika Waititi a lot, having whenever he gets someplace where he's uncomfortable as a director, he will revert to humor. Every director's got a thing they fall back to. Spielberg has that as well. He can overcome it. He did that with Saving Private Ryan. He did that with Schindler's List. We don't necessarily get the quote unquote happy Spielberg moments, or the hopeful moment.
Sure.
We kind of get the hope, but he does love to fall back to hope and
Yeah.
faith in humanity. He does like to fall back on that, and that we're in the third act. We get to that.
Yeah.
But you're right. People are out there calling people again. I do not understand criticism at this point. Because this is either a 10 out of 10 masterpiece or it's terrible. If you go out on look on the net, it is neither of those things.
No, I don't know.
It is far better than it is bad.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Objective measurement. Is it great at times?
Yes, I think that's part of the it's certainly not great throughout, but I'm not in a. I'd probably need to watch it at least one more time before I start throwing out any sort of percentages of how often is it great, how often is it not, because you'd almost have to be keeping track of that as you go. But I think for me, it improves as it goes along.
But it already starts. But it starts in good.
It starts out just fine. It's just fine, and it improves as it goes along, as far as I'm concerned. As it sheds some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a better way to build this world, and in fact, I think there probably is, and I think that's part of the problem. And I think there's certain things I would seriously need to sit down and and not that I could figure it out entirely, but I would need to sit down and really focus on each act and things and say, what is the goal, and how do we get these characters together in a place that feels a little more natural and doesn't require some backtracking.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what it feels like. At a certain point, you're running, and then you're running back to places you've been, which is kind of odd. Structurally, it feels like it takes a U-turn literally, and so that's a little. Like, there's part of me in my head that just wonders if could we have done that a little more elegantly, or figured something out a little better here. But generally speaking, I can't say that I was disappointed. I don't think that it's. Again, I don't think it's a masterpiece. I don't think it's top shelf, but I don't think that it's bargain basement either.
No.
Or clearance rack, or I don't know. I think it's kind of what I expected it to be.
Yeah. So I generally agree with all of that. I think I would like to posit that this might be the best major studio movie we've seen this year. And I have to qualify it like that because we've seen really good smaller A24's giving us some good stuff. But to compare those is really kind of apples and oranges.
Yeah.
But I think of the big studio releases, this is probably the best one we've seen. I would also like to posit that the reason that is because despite the fact that we have seen most of this film in other films, some of which Spielberg himself has directed.
Yeah.
The cast and their performances here are what really brings this movie up.
Yeah, no.
I was happy with every single performance. Up to and including villainous Colin Firth.
who does this is he is chewing some scenery a little bit here. And I like there's some wonkiness with the technology, but again,
it's alien technology.
It's alien. Well, exactly. And it's alien technology, and there's what what right or evidence do I have to say that that's not how it would work?
Right. How dare you explain away my alien tech?
Um, and there's some rules and things that are involved there uh, that maybe they either explain too much or not enough. I'm not sure. Maybe you know. No, I don't. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I think the performances generally are strong. Um, yeah, I guess I do lean probably more to the positive side on this one. Well, I definitely do. There's no
Yeah.
question about that. Um, and I think what is interesting is having worked in news, and there is a lot of news stuff in here, particularly at the end.
Yep.
And we had a little discussion afterwards, and it's surprisingly not inaccurate at how news could quickly spread. Um,
Yeah.
I think, in the film that we have, it's accelerated. Obviously, there were certain things that I would nitpick maybe slightly about, but as far as technology and the ability to suddenly spread news around the world, we're there. This film is not inaccurate in that sense. It's completely inaccurate in the size of the affiliate studio in Kansas City,
Right.
uh, which is this massive.
Well, it looks like a NASA freaking command center.
It's I don't even think. I mean, the only places that may have something that looks like that would be, CNN's main headquarters or whatever, and I don't even think they compete with that. And so everything's exaggerated. The number of people in the the feed room is exaggerated. The number of people, anyway, but the actual technology and things that they're working on there, it's actually pretty accurate. Which is a little surprising and maybe a little surprising to people watching it because the world is very small in that
Yeah.
regard now. Um, Now, how many people would instantly just grab what's in front of them and accept it and throw it out there is another thing in general. But as far as technology goes, it was surprisingly accurate, which is nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I like the film. I don't feel like it needs to be defended, although I am a little surprised that people think it's awful.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
don't get it.
if there are people who think it's awful, I'd like to know what their favorite films are right now, or of all time, or whatnot.
Right.
I guess maybe in this day and age, if it's not a masterpiece, it's terrible.
Or whatever. You just don't like actor X or director X, so it has to be horrible or it has to be the best thing ever.
Yeah,
It's like, look, I mean, but I'm far. A lot of times we come out of these movies and it seems like we've been doing it a lot lately. Oh, it's like a 6.5, 7, right? It's just, it's good. It's not great. I'm like an 8 if I have to put a number on this.
see, and I might be. I'm definitely a 7, or above. Let me put it that way.
Was it? Is it like so many movies that is it a disappointing 7?
I don't
Because
think
we've
so.
had those
No,
movies,
no, we have, and I don't feel that way because I think initially maybe it feels like, okay, this is teetering a little bit. Um, but at the end, it feels very much like a Spielberg film. Although, again, it's definitely not my favorite Spielberg film. It's probably not even top 5.
right?
But when you're Steven Spielberg, I mean,
Yeah, look at the list.
there's some phenomenal films that have been made, and um, even
I
the B tier. I mean, if we get down to after his top 10, the B tier is still pretty good.
See, I have this above. I have this above Fablemans. I have this above West Side Story. I have this above Ready Player One. Um, most of his recent stuff.
I would
I
agree
have,
with. I think I would agree with that, and I think part of the thing is, yeah, I think I. Well, I West Side Story. Yeah, we'll differ on West Side Story no matter what we
right.
talk about, but um, West Side Story to me is actually pretty darn good,
Yeah.
but again, that's not necessarily the Spielberg that a lot of people expect or want to see.
Well,
Uh,
I had, like I said, we talked about Ready Player One, and I had issue with that. He should not have made that movie,
well, I have issues with it too because that's too in his wheelhouse. It's too close to
and
it.
it was too much about him, so he took all that
Yes,
out and said
yeah.
he should not have made that movie.
No, someone else should have. Yeah, someone else should have made that film, and
I almost, again, I think we talked about it, I think Abrams might have actually been able to stick that movie
I don't know.
because he's a super Spielberg fanboy.
Maybe I
But
might
I
be
mean,
willing to give you that because I think J.J. Abrams is not a creative individual. I think
he did.
he.
But the trick is, for Ready Player One, he wouldn't have had to be.
I know, and that's the thing.
It would have been his Watchmen, like Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
So, but no, but Spielberg,
Anyway.
look at his last movies: Fablemans, West Side Story, Ready Player One, The Post, great movie.
Yeah.
But then BFG, but nobody saw it. I didn't see it.
I liked BFG.
But then
I
Bridge of
actually,
Spies,
but
Lincoln.
yeah, Bridge of Spies I really liked a lot, and Lincoln was pretty good. Yes, like I said. So, but once you get into the top, his top 10 is amazing. His
Yeah,
10 through 20 is really, really, really good.
yeah.
So even if this is, I don't, I mean, I don't, I'm not one. I'd have to sit down and I hate those actual rank every movie because
Yeah,
at
I
some
know.
point it just becomes, um,
Too much.
well, yeah, but yeah, I think it's a good film. I don't know if it's a great film. I hope people see it. Um, and I think you can enjoy a small budget film and a big budget film and not be a traitor to
Cinema.
cinema. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't, in fact, I think you're doing a disservice to yourself if you feel like you can only like one or the other.
right.
Now, if you only really honestly like one or the other and that's your preference, that's fine. But I think if it's from an ideological standpoint that you think you can't like something that costs more than X amount of dollars,
Right. Or less than
uh,
X amount of dollars. You're
yeah,
limiting yourself.
yeah, I think that's nonsense. And I have no
Right.
idea how much this movie costs. Probably a lot.
Yeah, yeah, the cast alone. And then there
You
was
know.
some effects. There were, like, let's spoiler alert a little bit. Uh, not a lot of actual aliens in the Alien movie.
No, but they're there enough.
When they show up,
Yeah, they're there. I
but
mean,
this is not aliens are running around.
no, and this is also, but I don't think that's, then,
That's
and
not the point of the film, so don't think it
no,
is.
no. And to a certain extent, this film is rooted in some sort of reality that exists,
Yeah.
in that it's using the very familiar, the Greys,
Yeah.
so they're not reinventing the alien for this.
Nope.
Spielberg has done that to a certain extent in other alien films, but in this one, he is, it is not reinventing aliens. It's
No.
it's bringing in a lot of current conspiracy theory. I mean, a lot of the events
Yeah.
that landmark conspiracy theory alien events are there,
You betcha.
uh, which uh, which also kind of leads us to who was also there in the audience with us, which
Oh
was
my God. I almost forgot about that. My wife
yeah,
was terribly excited.
yes, there
Uh,
was
4 or 5 people from The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch.
yeah, Skinwalker Ranch guys were
Up
there.
to and including the owner of the ranch, Brandon Fugel.
Which I mean, and I do think that's kind of cool that they were there
It is.
because I mean, I do I believe that there are aliens? Yes. Do I know if they visited us or if any of that other stuff and what I don't know. I'm not an ancient alien I don't totally buy into that, but I also don't completely dismiss it. I like the idea. I
Yeah.
guess, and I mean, it kind of goes down to I prefer a world with aliens and dragons and, unicorns and whatever. That's to me, that's a more interesting thing. And actually, in that list of things, I think aliens are probably the most likely to actually exist. Probably not unicorns, which is
Are you
unfortunate.
saying you didn't like the mythology behind Reign of Fire?
Not what I'm saying. I'm just saying certain things are more realistic, and in this case, it's more
Fair.
realistic to believe that there are aliens. Whether or not they look like the Greys or anything like that is another thing. But
Yeah.
and who knows?
Dang, now I want to go
You know,
rewatch Reign of Fire.
well, Rain of Fire is
It has its appeal.
all right. Yeah, it's a very much a B movie that didn't know it was a B movie. Um,
That's the
Maybe
best
it did.
kind.
Maybe it did. Maybe ultimately in the end they went, "Oh wait, okay, that's what this is." Anyway, but this is. But yeah, that said, this is not a B movie.
No,
This
not at
is
all.
this is this is this is not. There's I mean some really interesting stuff in
Yep.
here. There are certain things that I probably would have preferred to see developed a little more. Some things that I don't think we needed at all. But I also think that maybe this is something that in a book form you could go into some of the stuff that
Yeah.
that may not have been explored in this, and maybe we get a comic book series or we get something.
I think we needed more development of the state of world affairs
Well, there's that. Yes,
because I
I
that
wholeheartedly agree with that.
yeah, well that scenario really is kind of it's reminiscent of the Abyss where we have tensions in
Yeah,
the area where where Ed Harris is trying to recover the sunken nuclear sub and the aliens show up. So but a little more development to drive home instead of just this weird pseudo generic panic
yeah,
where you see people stocking up on things at the gas station. Like somebody calmly walks out with a case of water and a big thing of toilet paper. They're
yeah,
not running. There's a line at the pump, but people aren't fighting.
yeah,
So it's like,
yeah.
is
But
it?
but but then when you get into the shelves are empty and everyone's grabbing stuff, and so
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's uneven, and they needed to maybe explain that a little more.
yeah,
The film runs 225. Um, I don't know where you cut it. I think maybe you could keep it at 225 and maybe
I,
lose a little bit of stuff and explain the stuff a little bit more, but I don't know that it needs to be longer than this.
yeah. I mean, yeah, and there's a lot going on too.
Yeah,
We haven't really, even if you think that we've told you a bunch of spoilers, we haven't,
we have not.
because there's just a lot that's happening, and there's a lot. I don't know if science is the right word, but there's a
And it's not mythology. There's a lot of
no,
exposition, but that is constantly being expositioned, if you will.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
and I mean, there's a lot. There's some really, I mean, there really are fundamentally some really good ideas in this, and some
yep.
interesting ideas regarding lots of things.
And again, that's the script. But then, like I said, for me, what takes it up is the performances.
Yeah,
I
but I do think it could have been a cleaner script, and
probably,
I think that there are things. Again, I'm not going to go too much into it, but I think that there were. I don't know. This might even actually be a better miniseries than
mm,
an actual movie,
yeah.
where you can develop a lot of the things that either feel underdeveloped or
This could have been
yeah,
probably 5 episodes,
probably you could.
about 50, 55 minutes a piece.
Yeah, I think you could have, and that might ultimately have served this better. And it's weird that we're in a period where we're actually getting things like that, because um, that is still sort of new. The
Yeah.
fact that that's within the last 10 years that has become a viable um,
The problem is they can't
format.
figure out it's a viable presentation format, but not a
Yes,
business format. And
probably
that's
not. And
because
and
They're not going to make the box office money off a 5 episode streaming series.
Or maybe and that's the thing, I don't understand the economics of it, because there are people who are talking about how, um, Mandalorian and Grogu could have just been on Disney Plus,
Yeah, it could have been 6 episodes.
and that, um, studio or that theaters are actually thankful, even though it hasn't been a massive hit, but they're thankful that it wasn't just on
Yeah,
Disney Plus.
because it put butts in seats.
It put butts in seats at least for a weekend,
Yep.
and whatever, and maybe.
And then the horror movies showed up.
Well, yeah. So, but it's weird. It's weird because I don't understand the economic model, because I don't know how much Disney Plus and how they quantify.
Well, nobody does. That's the problem. But the thing is, right now, nobody really. I mean, the only people that understand how to make money from streaming is Netflix. Still, they're still the only ones that seem to have it figured out, and they're not telling.
Well, and unfortunately with Disney, you also have to factor in toy sales, theme parks.
Yeah,
There's so many different things that that a film can generate. Anyway, we're kind of off the thing.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
So, but no, I think generally speaking, if you're looking for a Steven Spielberg film, you'll find ultimately what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Just be patient to get there.
Yeah.
And again, I felt like the first act was messy, but I'm also kind of getting to the point where I don't know that messy's that bad of a thing. I think messy might be an okay place to be, as long as you know that you're messy,
right?
Or
and
that
it's kind of indicative of where they are.
Yeah.
So I mean, is it intentional, or is it just let's get through this and get to the meat of the movie?
Yeah, I don't know.
Could be a little bit of both.
Yeah, and it isn't a film that over explains things all the time. Sometimes yes, but sometimes no. It just says you're going to just sit back and watch, and you can figure out what is going on here. And there may be a bit. I think maybe a second pass through, it makes more sense.
Yeah, probably.
But I think it's enjoyable, and I think ultimately it entertains, and it's better than an average popcorn movie, and that to me is a victory.
Yep.
Yeah, I did. Someone said Spielberg's best film from the past 20 years, and I don't think that's remotely true, but that's okay.
Well, you know what's funny, and I hate to bring this up, quasi old guy. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
But what's really funny is that where are we at? Previous 20 years ago, he put out 2005. He put out Munich.
Yeah.
Then he put out Crystal Skull.
Okay, well
Tintin, War Horse. Then Lincoln, Bridge of Spies, BFG, Post. Then Ready Player One, West Side Story, Fablemans. So of the last 20 years, argument can be made it's in the top half of that.
Probably. But not.
Is it the best of his last 20 years?
No.
Probably not.
No.
But you can argue it is in the top half of that 20 years.
Maybe.
Because you go back from that, from behind Munich, War of the Worlds, Terminal, Catch You If You Can, Minority Report, Artificial Intelligence, Saving Private Ryan, Amistad, Lost World, Schindler, Jurassic Park, and then Hook back in 91.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to beat that. You're not going to beat those movies.
I guess 20 years is.
I know, we're old.
Well, I'm as old as Jaws, so.
Yeah.
Jaws at 50, Ryan at 50. Who would have thought?
There you go.
Yeah, scary stuff there. But I mean, it's good. That's all that I don't. I'm not gonna. I don't need it to.
We don't need to compare it to the other stuff.
I don't need to quantify it by best Spielberg film in the last 20 years. I don't think it is. I don't.
One of the best movies you will see this year. That's what you need to.
Possibly. That's possible.
And definitely for the first half of this year.
That's possible. But I still haven't seen Master of the Universe, so I don't know.
Oh, well, yeah, you might need to rejigger those ratings. You seriously need to go watch that so we can talk about it.
I kind of feel like I need to see it though.
If you're not watching this, you can't hear my eyes rolling.
Yes, I know.
But yeah, so
There's
definitely
just
one of the better ones.
there's a curiosity factor there because I've heard that is a film that has been skews you hate it or you love it.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that says, well, okay, then where do I fit?
I don't think anyone's going to come out of it and go, it's a solid 5. No one's going to be right down the middle on it. You either love it or you hate it. And I have seen both.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have seen both. And I don't know that I hate it, but I'm way below 5.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying on that. But yeah, so that's it on Disclosure Day. Anything you want to add? Any final Oh, besides the fact that he made John Williams do the score at 94 years old.
And yeah, I mean it's solid.
I'm sure he was sitting at home on his rocking chair and the phone rang and it's like Steven and he's like, fine, I'll do it.
Who else? Yeah, I mean, because Star Wars isn't calling right now, so
No.
and probably not again. Which is, I mean, it's sad, but I mean, John Williams is great.
Yep.
And it has some very good John Williams moments in it.
Yep.
So if this is the last thing he does, I don't know, but definitely not diminishing returns on that end.
No. He's not phoning it in.
And
he's not phoning it in.
And I don't know if you collect still books, but there is a still book Spielberg collection that just came out.
Really? I do have a bunch. Is it on Amazon or is it on Creative?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's an Amazon, but it has most of the Jaws, Jurassic World. Anyway,
I have to look.
So it's one big box set.
Oh dear.
But
$900.
No, I think it's like 200.
Oh, that's not actually
I think it's like 8 films, 200. It's and the only reason why I really mention it is because it's stuff that you probably already have. But if you do like the still books,
yeah,
I think it's the first time that most of them are available in still books. Cool. So,
well, there you go, people. There's your little plug to go to Amazon. Check it out.
There you go. Check it out. Yeah.
Build your Spielberg collection.
It's Universal and some Sony, so it doesn't have the Warner Brothers stuff in there, but it's still again, if you like the steel books.
There you go. All right, so that is it for Disclosure Day. We both like it. Go check it out. It opens this Friday. Don't forget to like us, follow us on social media. Go to the website vsmoviepodcast.com. Check it out. If you're watching this on YouTube, click subscribe. That would be lovely as well. Until we talk to you again, be good, stay safe, go see a good movie in theaters. There are many to choose from.
Yeah, it's
all genres.
Yeah.
So go and check them out. Till we talk to you again, I've been Mark. That's been Ryan. Bye, Ryan.
Yeah, folks.
We'll talk to y'all later.